Hey everyone, welcome back to AndyDemos. Today I'm checking out the Oaxa dual stereo phaser from Keeley Electronics, and this is from their new Core series, which has a very simple, streamlined form factor, but you get a lot of control underneath the hood, including two phasers at the same time. So let's check it out. With just three big vintage style knobs, you can dial in the speed, depth, and feedback of an expansive 10-stage phaser, warmer 4-stage, or pulsing vibe style phaser. You could run them fast and slow at the same time, or experiment with new liquid-like textures that arise from slightly similar speeds. Hold down the left switch and you get one knob compression and a low-end depth filter. The compression really makes any phaser sound pop, and Keeley certainly knows how to pack essential compression parameters into a single knob. In addition to the primary modes, you can also unlock the choice of having 6, 4, or 2-stage modes by simply holding a switch and powering up the pedal. Plus, the phasers can run in series or parallel, and that's if you're running in mono or true stereo for unique interactions with other stereo effects and amplifiers. The Oaxa is part of Keeley's stunningly simple Core series, and you can find out all about these USA-made pedals at rkfx.com. Alright, so let's have some fun with the 10-stage phaser first. I'm just going to play one song and kind of change things along the way and speed things up, and also increase the feedback, which on this mode really introduces kind of a vocal quality, and I'm going to enhance that during a lead section with the blues disorder in front of the Oaxa. And jumping down to 4 stage, we get those classic warmer, phase 90 style sounds, and those don't traditionally have a lot of feedback, so I'm going to kind of keep that low. Of course, you could go high with it and get a little bit brighter sweep and a little bit more swish. My favorite thing to do on the 4 stage is get those faster kind of rotary sounds with the higher rates. And now the vibe mode, and this one just has a nice low end pulse here, and I'm just going to dive into that secondary parameter of changing the low notch filter, and that's just done by double tapping the left switch. And as you hear the pulse go up and down, you could adjust that depth knob and just dial in that perfect sweet spot. Sometimes you want a little bit less low end depending on if you're using fuzz or dirt with the Oaxa. So with my speaker, I think that is kind of the perfect sweet spot right there. It's not going to overload, and then we can slow things down and really hear that kind of heartbeat pulse that I'm glad that Keeley just nailed in this pedal. And it's about time we introduced a second pulse in here, so I'm just going to stay on that vibe, and you'll see that the red mode is doing its own thing. It has its own speed and depth, and together they can create some really cool rhythmic textures. It's not as kind of monotonous, kind of that same LFO. Your brain really doesn't latch on to the pattern if there's two going on. So we got a slow and a kind of medium speed. Let's see what they sound like together. And we've kind of dipped into those secondary parameters with the low notch filter, but let's try that onboard compression because it really just has a way of making any phase setting pop. So I'm back to the nice kind of chewy setting of the 10-stage phaser with the feedback around halfway. And I'm just going to hold down the left switch and turn that rate knob until I hear some compression. So here's a medium compression. Full compression. No compression. So there's a lot more to explore other than those three different modes, and how you get there is hold the right switch while powering up the Oaxa, and instead of 10-stage, that turns into a 6-stage phaser. The middle stays the same, 4-stage, and then the bottom one turns from a vibe to a 2-stage. So what do you say we check out the 6-stage? This one definitely has that upper harmonic content like the 10, but not quite as vocal when you have the feedback up. And also pay attention to what happens when I switch down on the red mode down to 2-stage. A kind of cool secret weapon here is that the red mode is actually like a preset mode, so it's not only saving your speed changes but also the depth position. So you can kind of treat that red mode as your presets, and then the blue is always going to be where the knobs are set. So it's just a kind of a cool way to get some instant sweet spots on all of those modes. Alright, so now I'm in stereo and I've gone back to the 4-stage mode, and here we're going to hear the difference between series and parallel. But first I want to just show you how one phaser sounds going into two different amps. I basically have my deluxe reverb in real life, and then on the other channel is a UAD plugin, pretty much of the same thing, the Dream 65. So again, here's 4 stages just with one phaser, and I've split it into 2 different outputs. And now two phasers in stereo. And now it's kind of an extreme setting, but I just want to show you how it really changes when you have two phasers going into each other versus parallel, and so they're not going to like filter each other basically. So that was series. I'm just going to hold these two switches. And 3 blinks means we're now in parallel. So let's hear both of those phasers again, now separated. Well, as you can hear, a lot of gooey phase tones in there and just a lot of control with those dual phasers. And in my opinion, it sounded just as good in mono as it did in stereo. You can check it out along with the new core series at rkfx.com. Thanks for watching.